we are gathering for Tuesday night Kali Maa Studies. And we have been spending the last 21 weeks working on the Kali Sahasranama. So if you're just tuning in, my name is Kalavati Devi, otherwise known as Christie Smirl. And let's go ahead and start with our Om shields and giving reverence to the Holy Mother's son, Ganesha. Bring your hands to heart center. Inhale. Om. Om. And a third time. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Ekdantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tano Dantihi Prachodayāt. Om Namo Bhagavate Ekadam Sraya Mutaraya Uchista Mahatmane Om Krom Brim Gege Swaha. Jema. All right, so tonight we're going to be working on verse 21 of the Kali Sahasranama. And tonight we're working on names 147 to 153. So as many of you already know, we're doing this in a devotional setting. This is not Diksha or anything like this. This is a personal exploration of the 1008 names of the Holy Mother, Kali Maa. Good evening, Journal of Stitchery, Tema. All right, so let's take a look at our verse for this evening. All right. Oh, let me plug in my computer real quick. Charge is low. All right, how's the sound? Everything's good? You can hear me well? All right, excellent. So the verse for tonight, verse 21, is Matta pramattā pramadā sudhāsindhunivāsinī Atimatta mahāmattā sarvākarṣṇakāriṇī. So let's listen to that one more time and notice that you hear a lot of the same repetition of Matta, and we'll look at the difference between Matta and Mattā. So let's listen again. Matta pramattā pramadā sudhāsindhunivāsinī Atimatta mahāmattā sarvākarṣṇakāriṇī. So let's look at name 147 out of 1008. So Mattā. Now, first of all, I want to point out there's several versions of this word. Mattā with the long second A, Jema, means she who is the great mind or great thinker. Whereas if we change the placement of the long A, if it's M-A-T-T-A, it's also mother. But in this version of the word, the spelling of the word, we're looking at Mattā, long second A. And this means she who is the great mind or great thinker. And we're going to be working with this word in several of these names and forms tonight. So when we are thinking about Mattā, it means to be maddened, to be high-spirited, to be excited, wild, delighted, or enthused in the mind, or even intoxicated. And like, what does that mean to us? Kali Maa, as she who is the great mind, the great thinker, or excites, enthuses, enthuses, or as I like to think of, infuses the mind. Now, when we study things like Raja Yoga, meditation, etc., we know that the mind is like trying to control the wind, right? The human mind is subject to all sorts of fluctuations, emotions, conditioning, influences, internal and external. So when we think of and we recognize the Holy Mother as the great mind, we want to recognize that there is a difference between our human mind. I think it's monkey talk. Yes, they talk about the mind like being monkeys in the tree or chatter monkeys, right? So when we look at the medical version, understanding of the mind through Ayurvedic lenses, we know that there is the manomaya kosha and the vijnanamaya kosha. The manomaya kosha is the mind sheath, the human mind sheath, the human mind intelligence. And we understand that this is quite different from the vijnana maya kosha, which is the soul's intelligence. But when we look at the word Mattā, this is the great mind of the mother. And what does it mean when we move into one of the final stages of yoga, Ishvara Pranadhana, and we go into that state of surrender, surrendering our monkey mind, surrendering our itty bitty committee, surrendering the things that separate us away from our divine will, our higher soul, our super consciousness, or even samadhi, that divine union. When we think of the mother and we understand that she is the great mind, what does it mean to surrender our human mind? And a lot of people, they don't like that term, Ishvara Pranadhana, which means to surrender or to submit. But really all it is trying to purify the mind of that which doesn't serve us. There are some things in our mind that are helpful, and there's certain things in our mind that are harmful, and there's certain things that are just unnecessary data and unnecessary congestion. So Mattā, we think of the mother and we recognize her name and form as the great mind, the great thinker. Now, when I look at all these different words and I research them, Mattā also refers to a female cuckoo bird. And it also is the name of an intoxicating liquor. So we looked at the name Mattā as one who infuses the mind, delights the mind, enthuses the mind. But some people also say she who intoxicates the mind. And for those of you who've done Kali sadhanas, I'd be interested in knowing, have you ever had your mind suddenly feel intoxicated by the Holy Mother? It's quite a wonderful feeling. But it can be confusing, it can be disorienting, or it can be quite blissful as well. Was there anything else that I want to talk about on that one? Yeah. So when we understand the mother as the great mind, one of the greatest sacrifices we can offer, and I think we've talked about this in several other sessions, is the mind, the ego, prostrating, putting the head on the ground, offering a coconut, which represents our mind, and just cracking it open and watching all the contents drain out. All right, let's look at name 148, Pramata, long A at the end, pramattā. And this means she who is the foremost mind or foremost thinker. So when we break down the word a little bit, we already talked about Mattā. Pra means intense. So when we look at the foremost mind, like what does foremost even mean in this context? So foremost means top ranking, means most important or superior. And some people have kind of a discomfort in thinking that their mind is not superior because the ego gets in the way, right? That's natural and normal. And when we think of the mother, pramattā, in this form, we can ask ourselves, what does that mean that she is the supreme, superior, or foremost mind and thinker? All right. Now, when we talk about the mind and the superior mind or the foremost mind, we comprehend the fact that the mind is contaminatable, right? The biological body can influence the mind gunas. So in Ayurveda, we know that we have 3 doshas that regulate the body: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And if Vata or Pitta go out of balance, it causes rajas in the mind from the biological origin. Whereas if Kapha is excessive in the body, then we can be prone towards the mind imbalance called tamas. So one form, whether it's vataja or pittaja, rajas, restlessness in the mind, that makes the mind harder to control, harder to understand, harder to slow down and discern. Whereas when the mind goes out of balance due to biological kapha and then tamasicness, they say that that creates darkening of the mind, sluggishness of the mind, or in the translation, ignorance of the mind. Now, we also know that these mind imbalances come from the actual mind. Let's say you experience grief, anxiety, fear, stress. That can cause restlessness and this form of rajas or rajasic imbalance in the mind. Because remember, rajas isn't a bad word and tamas isn't a bad word. But rajasic imbalance means there's some sort of physiological wonkiness going on, for lack of a better word. How do we apply this to the name and form of Kali Maa, Pramata? When we recognize that the mind is out of balance, many sadhanas to Kali Maa or different kriyas, as we go into a state of surrender, we recognize that our mind is in a temporary, non-eternal state of imbalance, irregularity. And we can go into that deep meditation, that yoking, that union, the kriya that brings us closer to the Holy Mother and say, Ma, please restore my mind back to the higher consciousness, to the mind and intelligence that is before these disturbances. So Pramata. All right, now name 149 is almost the same. Pramadā with a D. So Pramata with T. Pramadā is name and form of Kali Maa 149. And the puja books indicate the general translation of this is she who is the giver of preeminence. Preeminence. And she who is preeminent means she who surpasses all others, or she who is superior. Now, not human she, but the Holy Mother. And pramadā also means a highly respected woman in layperson's term, and it is also a type of walk or gait in dramatic play. But when we look at pramadā also, it is the name of one of the Ayurvedic healing herbs called datura. And datura we know is one of Shiva's favorite flowers. It can be highly toxic if handled wrong, but it can also be used for neutralizing things like snake bites, rat poison, fever, severe itching, and things of that nature. And if prepared a other way, it can be used as an intoxicant. So it's interesting here how these names, pramadā, pramattā, have to do with the concept of Kali Maa intoxicating the mind. Good evening, Wolverine. All right. Now, if we move the A instead of pramadā, if we move the long accent and it's pramadā, it actually means something completely different, which is negligence. carelessness. So it's very important when we look at the translations of these words that we pay attention to where the line over the vowels are, because those are different letters and different words, different meanings altogether. All right, let's look at name 150, Kali Maa's name and form of sudhāsindhunivāsinī. Sudhāsindhunivāsinī. And this is translated in the puja books as she who resides in the ocean of purity, the ocean of purity. So sudha means nectar or ambrosia or divine wine. So again, this intoxication is coming back in. And sindhu means ocean, sea, or large body of water. And Vashini is she who resides in or dwells within. So this is the form of the mother that dwells and resides inside the transcendental ocean of nectar and bliss. And like, where is that for you? Where would we find the mother in the transcendental ocean of nectar and bliss? Is this somewhere here on earth? Is this somewhere in our mind? Is this somewhere in our consciousness, our higher consciousness? Is this a state of being, a state of transcendence? I'll leave that for you to contemplate. All right, let's look at name 151 of Kali Maa. 151 of 1008. Atimatta. We've already looked at Mattā. This means she who is the extremely great mind. Ati means exceedingly. And so the other translation is she who exceedingly intoxicates the mind, or being in a state of intense divine consciousness, intense divine power. For some of you who have done Kali sadhanas, you may have experienced this. And some people say it's very blissful, very peaceful. Other people describe it as intoxication. Some describe it as very uncomfortable and disturbing or maddening. So I'd be interested to see, if you want to comment, what has been your experience with this type of relationship with the mother. All right, just one more name for this evening, and then I have a poem that I want to share on this verse. So name and form of Kali Maa 153 is sarvākarṣṇakāriṇī. We'll say that again. Karṣṇakāriṇī. And this means she who is the cause of all attraction. Or when we look at the word sarva, this means all, it means everything or complete. Akarṣṇa means attraction, magnetism, a drawing, a pulling. And Karini is she who does this. So when we start working with Kali Maa, when we start building a beautiful relationship with her, it often feels like she's magnetizing our mind to her. I had marked one of the pages here. The picture isn't necessarily exactly what we're talking about, except for the markings on the head. And the poetry was that the mother is never absent. She is in every cell, every breath, every star. She is never afar. Her absence is only experienced in our absent-mindedness. And when I was contemplating this particular verse this evening, some of the thoughts that came through, I'll share. Jai Shri Kali Maa, O Mattā Maa, madden my mind, so it may only know your sweet, intense, divine intoxication. May your superior presence surpass and surprise my senses, my body, my thoughts that arise. May I reside in your eternal consciousness of ocean of nectar. May it touch my lips and nourish my mind. May your great consciousness grace my human form, so you may be my chancellor, my counselor, and my mother evermore. So I hope you enjoyed these names and forms. I hope that they bring up thoughts. No pun intended. So again, our verse for tonight, Matta, Pramata, pramadā, sudhāsindhunivāsinī, Atimatta, mahāmattā, sarvākarṣṇakāriṇī. I thank all of you for joining and being interested in these names and forms. We're on name 153 now, and we're going to be going into the long haul to name 1008. So if you're not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can listen to all of these live casts or catch them afterwards. And I hope that everybody feels the magnetism and the draw of the mother as the great mind, as the super consciousness here and now. Gemma.